Hi everyone, I'm Heather from Creative Kiwi and I'm sharing this video on how we make our in the hoop stacked star design. Try saying that 3 times fast. Now this design has been requested and it's a really quick stitch out, and we've got it right through from the 4x4 hoop size through to the 9x9 hoop size, so you can make a variety of sizes and projects with this. If you're new to this style of design, it's what we call our large applique designs, where you do designs much larger than your hoop because you join them together while they're in the hoop. So you don't need to do any additional work on your sewing machine. Basically each file has the joining stitches, so it's all done in the hoop. You'll see as the video goes on. Now what we've done with this design is, because it's nearly the 4th of July, I've put in the Happy 4th of July files. I've also, now that's for all sizes from 4x4 through to 9x9. I also did the yellow design here, which is actually done in the 8x8 hoop. That's a sample I did for my girls basically. It's got a saying that we really like: love light, starlight never dies. So I did that so that we can use the sample. Because of the fonts I've used in that, the actual wording for that is only for the 6x6, 8x8 and 9x9, and it's basically because the Starlight font, I just would not be happy selling it smaller than what it is. It just would not stitch out nice. Now obviously with these designs you can add whatever you like. They would be really awesome as birth announcements, add your own wording for a happy birthday, you're a superstar, someone's graduating, really whatever you like. Now this video is designed to showcase the techniques that we use when we do our large applique designs. All the detail about the actual sizing required and actually making the design is in the instructions. So when you download the file, look for the PDF that's got the instructions with far more detail than this. Anyway, let's get on to it and let's see how we make our star. Okay, so we've got 6 pieces of fabric. We've got the backing fabrics I've added interfacing to, just iron-on interfacing. So we've got 3 sets for the 3 stars. We've got the front and the back, and for this one I've used 3 different colours. You can use whatever. They are all 1 inch bigger than your actual hoop size. So this one I'm doing the 4x4 hoop, so it's a 5x5 inch. You see there I've got a piece of batting, again cut to the 1 inch bigger than your hoop size, and just an optional hanging tab. All the details are in the instructions. So the next thing we need to do is talk about stabilizers. For this design, the style of design, you need to use 2 layers of the fabric type water soluble stabilizer. This is so you can remove all trace of the stabilizer from the edges. Now as you can see here, I've hooped 2 layers and I also pin. This just ensures that there'll be no movement in the hoop. So we've got that done. Now we're off to the machine, and the first thing you're going to do is just stitch the outline of the star on the stabilizer. Then we're going to add our piece of pellin or batting just over that guideline. Now you can tape the batting in place if you like, just on the edges outside of the stitch line. I might do that on some of my bigger hoops. With the 4x4 I just quite happily float. So we're just stitching that outline onto the batting, and then we're taking the hoop from the machine and we're going to cut away the excess batting. Now I used to do this construction where you stitched your fabric and your batting in place at the same time and then cut them both away, but certainly feedback from the customers is that you guys like to do it separately, so that's what we've done. So you do the first step where we've done here is trim away the batting, and then the second step is to add the fabric. Just makes for nicer trimming. So here we go, we're at the machine. We're just attaching that fabric, and I'm sorry, I didn't realise, I thought the blue would show up a lot better than it has on the video. The second step we've done is, or second colour, is just a thin line quilting. Now I've made it a separate colour, so if you prefer your star puffier, then you're more than welcome to just skip that line quilting. I've got a better picture of it here. I think I've added my yellow ones, yeah. Still hard to see, but you can see there's just some straight line quilting on the right there. Completely personal preference whether you use it or not. The next step is just to add whatever you want on the front of the star. So if you're doing the 4th of July wall hanging, then obviously July. Remembering that we're starting at the bottom, going to the top. But if you wanted to add your own design, your own wording, this is where you do it in the sequence before we add our backing. So that's all done. So the next thing we're going to do is add our backing piece of fabric, which is the fabric that has the interfacing on it. So I just sneakily floated it under there and then remembered I needed to show you the other optional way of adding your backing fabric. You can remove your hoop from the machine and place your backing fabric over the hoop and then tape it in place. Certainly for my bigger hoops I do that. For the 4x4 I quite like floating. I find it just as easy, which is basically what you see here, where you've still got the design in the hoop and you're just placing the backing fabric in between. With the water soluble stabilizer you can see whether you've got it covering all the edges. The next step is just to attach the backing fabric. So it's going to do the outline of the star twice. It's just to give you a nice cutting edge. We've just about finished the star. Told you it'd be quick. So what we're doing here is we're just going to remove the excess fabric on the back and front of the hoop, just so we can get that nice crisp satin stitch edge next. So I'm using my duckbill applique scissors from Echidna. They're my favourite. I like them at the moment. Well, I like them. But I do, as you can see, I've got my trusty old dressmaker's scissors beside me, and I go in between scissors. I use whatever scissors feels right at the time. I think the main thing for applique and for these types of design is to have sharp scissors, because you really want to trim as close as you can, both your batting and your fabric, just so that you get a nice crisp satin stitch edge. Right, so we're back into the machine now. If you want your star to be completely reversible, you can change your bobbin thread at this point, just to match your satin stitch. So, and what we're going to do, what the design does, it just stitches around a zigzag and then goes back and does the lovely satin stitch edge. There is just at the point of the star there where there is no satin stitch, this is where you're going to join the next part of the design. Done. Now we're just cutting away the excess stabilizer, just as close as you can. No, nothing too major there. You do, just at that top bit where there is the raw edge, do try and get as close as you can to that cutting edge, or the stitching edge, sorry. That's where you're going to join, so the less bulk you have there, the easier it is for you. Okay, so that's part one done. So now we're going to go on to the next part of the star, and I'm just going to whiz through the bits that are exactly the same as part A, which is hooping your stabilizer, placing your pellin, attaching the pellin, removing the hoop from the machine, and cutting away just the excess pellin. Exactly the same as your first star. Back in the hoop, you're adding your fabric. And again, it's just going to do the quilting, and for this one, it's going to stitch out fourth. Wish it was this fast normally, although it is a quick stitching design, that there is no doubt. What I'm going to do is, I'm zipping through this bit, but when we get to the joining, I'll slow back down to normal time, just so that you can see exactly how it's done. Okay, so there we go. I've just floated the backing fabric underneath. Again, if you prefer, remove your hoop from the machine and tape your backing fabric to the back. We're removing it from the hoop and we're just cutting away that excess stabilizer. Again, in preparation for the next one, if you are using matching bobbin thread, change your bobbin thread at this point. Nearly done. Right, we're back at the hoop, and this is where we're going to do the joining. So the first colour just zigzags down to where we're going to do the join, and it stops your machine. So now I've slowed it down. So what we're doing there, you can see the stitching on the bottom of the star, and you can see the stitching on the top of your star. So you're just basically matching stitch line for stitch line. There's a gap there, you can see it. There's where there's no satin stitch. It just kind of matches in. You can tape in place. And we're just going to stitch the next stitch, which will just zigzag across the join there. And admittedly, for the star, it's just it's a few stitches. But this is the important part of the join. So take a look at it now. You see I'm just about there. And just make sure it has joined the two sides, the two stars. If you see yours and it's not zigzagged across the edge, go back and redo it, because this is the joining of the two pieces, and the better it is, obviously the better the design's going to be. And obviously once you're happy, you're just basically going to stitch that last stitch, which is a satin stitch. It zigzags around and it just satin stitches the edge. That's your second piece done. So I said I'd whiz through these bits because it's all the same technique. Now if you wanted to make a 4-tier star, or even five of them, you would repeat this file B. You would just keep adding to it, because it's got the joining stitches at the bottom and a gap at the top for the front. But anyway, we're on to number 3. And again, we're just going to whiz through because it's exactly the same. So you're hooping your stabilizer, and then you're stitching colour 1, which is the outline. Now, because I'm doing this 3-tier, this is my top star. So I'm putting my hanging tab at this point. So you can see what I've done there. I've just got a folded piece of cord and I've just taped it in place. Then we're back to doing exactly as we did before. We've got the batting, and by the miracle of video, we'd cut away the batting and put it back onto the machine. I just didn't think it was worth showing you again. We've placed the front fabric on top, and we're doing the quilting. Again, you can choose to skip it if you prefer. And just our design on the front, which for the 4th of July is the happy. You know what we're going to do next? We're going to add our backing. Remove the hoop if you prefer and place it that way. We're attaching the backing with our double edge, and really fast now. We're just cutting away that excess fabric front and back. And I guess the difference with this shape being the last one is it is a full star shape. So if you just want to make the star just by itself, use this file C, because it has the full satin stitch edging right around the whole star and right at the top, which you don't get in part A and B because we're joining it. Anyway, we're just about right back to the hoop, and again, change your bobbin if you're wanting it matching. And this time it's just going to stitch right around the edge of the star and stop once again where we're going to do the join, which is exactly the same way as we did on part B. So you're matching stitch edge, taping it down, doing your zigzag join, making sure you're happy with it, and then it's just, the machine's just going to stitch zigzag right around the edge of the star and then do the second stitch right around the edge of the star, and you've really pretty much done your design. Done. Last time, just going to remove that stabilizer around the edge. don't cut off the tag. Ask me how I know. I have done it a million times. Now we just get some warm water or hot water and a Q-tip, and you're just removing that stabilizer, all traces of the stabilizer from the edges. Now that's the beauty of an in the hoop project, because pretty much, well, not even pretty much, that is it, the project is done. Look at that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you make some stars. As I say, you can make it 3, 4, 5 or more, no matter how many you want, you can make the star. I look forward to seeing what you've made. Please join our Creative Kiwi Facebook group and upload your photos. We love seeing what everybody makes. Now we've got a ton of videos, a few from me. We've got many from Kay, who does a great job of making some really good videos, and Sue from OML, she also makes some does videos or features some of our designs in her videos. So take a look, go to the website, you can get a list of all the videos available, and I hope you learned something. Thanks so much. Bye.